So, folks, there is a show called Valuetainment that is run by a man named Patrick Bet-David, who allegedly made a multi-level marketing scheme to defraud a bunch of people out of money. Allegedly. I don't know that for a fact. I've just been hearing that through the grapevine. He's very self-conscious about it. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. What I'm going to talk about today is a clip from one of his recent shows where he has a guy on to explain why Luigi Mangione did what he did to that United Healthcare executive, allegedly. Now, I am merely a layperson, and I can't begin to tell you, what the complex psychology is that, motivates people to do things, generally speaking. But I feel like this is one of those cases where it's a fairly straightforward explanation. I can't imagine that it is a terribly complicated question, considering he has repeatedly explained his motives in written word, in verbalized statements, etc., etc., etc. So, let's find out. The title of this video is Why Luigi Mangione Snapped.
Tony Robbins. We have this kid, Luigi Mangione, okay? Current event.
Yes.
He comes out and he kills the CEO of United Healthcare, right?
Yes.
Brian Thompson. And I wonder for someone like you how you process this. And I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to find out one post. So you find a profile of this guy. They report, came from a wealthy family. Grandfather was a decamillionaire, 37 grandkids. They've all done well, attended a $40,000 a year private school, earned a bachelor's degree in computer science, 26, no criminal record, no behavioral flags, nothing. Clean slate, sharp dress, photogenic, vacations abroad, post-pop.
Yeah. How could someone like that with a horrific back injury be radicalized against our healthcare system?
College photos, looks like he's thriving, lands internships, builds a resume that screams success, spends the free time exploring AI, mushrooms, self-optimization trends, joins the professional world, follows a script. No sign of instability, just another rising star in tech, disappears from friends for 3 months. 3 months later, he kills United Healthcare CEO. Say the feds call you and they bring you in. They want to say, hey, can you tell us something? Here's everything here. What is Tony looking for patterns to prevent from the next guy from being a Luigi? And hey, if we could have done this, we could have prevented this from happening.
It's pretty interesting that one of the key factors here is overlooked in this profile that is, supposedly pretty comprehensive here, when there's so much reporting on this. Like, it's not subtle. Luigi Mangione wrote online about a spine disorder. Other patients say it's hell. Spondylolisthesis? Ah, man, I butchered that. I'm so sorry. Or a slipped vertebrae can have devastating effects on the body, and the U.S. healthcare system often makes things worse. That's so interesting. Yeah, how could this guy have blamed the healthcare system? I don't understand it.
He could have still been here with his kids. We're not talking about their 32% denial rate. I'm not even talking about how, they don't, when it comes down to cases. What was the percentage? I think it's 32%, right, Rob, on what United Healthcare does. So we're not talking about that issue. What do you look for to prevent Luigi from doing what he did?
The story you told is not a complete story.
Okay.
What's missing is the time which they've been looking for him. His mother's not spoken to him in almost a year and a half. They've been trying to find him. The injury that he had, Also, what he was like in college, what actually happened.
Okay, look. I feel like these people can only have this like obtuseness because they haven't really dealt with pain and an uncaring insurance system. I know people who have been in extraordinarily crippling amounts of pain constantly, and the health insurance system has left them to rot and die, right? I can understand, just having witnessed that, how people could be radicalized by that pain to the point of wanting to take the life of someone they perceive as responsible for it. Not saying it's right, not saying it should be done, but I am saying I can understand that motivation very, very well. And so, like, for me, it's a pretty simple psychological thing happening here. It is, my pain is that guy's fault because that guy runs the system that is responsible for perpetuating my pain. You know? Suck it,
The rich
Tanuki.
still suffer from the same shitty healthcare system as you do. I pay over $2,500 a month for health insurance that doesn't break even for reimbursement.
Damn, Sake Tanuki. Well, thank you for also adding a 5 tier 1 subs on top of that $2,500. I for one, as someone who also pays for health insurance, definitely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, like I don't know, like I have been, I've mentioned this before on, I've mentioned this before on stream, but I at one point in my life had an infected gallbladder and it started creating gallstones. And it just happened randomly one day. And I later asked, the doctor, what did I do? Like, what could I have done? And he was just like, you couldn't have done anything. This just happens sometimes. And to this day, that is the greatest amount of pain I have ever felt in my life because the stones were too big to get out of my gallbladder. And I remember not knowing what to do, but knowing I didn't want to call an ambulance. And so, and knowing, not only did I not want to call an ambulance, I didn't want to go to the emergency room because I was afraid of how much that would cost me. And so rather than call an ambulance or do anything like that, I decided I would wait until it was morning because this happened to me in the middle of the night. And so I waited for, I think about 8 hours until the emergency room, or not emergency room, the urgent care opened. And I was literally writhing on the ground in agony, like on the ground, like kind of dry heaving and just like writhing on the ground in agony. And there are people that our healthcare system puts through that kind of pain on a regular basis. And because they have chronic conditions. And yeah, I can understand why someone would be radicalized by the pain of this system. Did you end up having your gallbladder removed? Yeah, I wound up going in, and the urgent care doctor was basically like, okay, yeah, so you're gonna need to go to the emergency room, and they're gonna get you into surgery as soon as possible.
2+ hours behind. The Lady Raina Cloud discussion was so helpful and informative. Please clip it. Hope the rest of the stream was great too. I'll catch up on the rest tomorrow. Night all. Stay strong.
Logan Hill, thank you for the $10 super chat. I'm glad you enjoyed that conversation, and it will definitely make its way up onto the YouTube soon. I'm going to be spending my day tomorrow editing clips, getting stuff up on YouTube, so don't you worry, that will definitely be up soon. Okay? But yeah, my gallbladder had to be removed entirely. So that sucks. I don't like having it not there. Most of the time it doesn't change my life, but sometimes it does in really not great ways. So, yeah. Anyway, very simple psychology at work here, in my opinion.
And after he went to prep school to college, where he became radicalized. It's very obvious, right? He hated.
What does the gallbladder even do? It creates, like, basically acid that helps break down food.
Capitalism. He was able to hate capitalism, think about this, because he never went through the process of having to earn. Everything was given to him. So he had everything he could ever dream of. So capitalism looks ugly to someone who's never had time to do it. There's these levels of spiritual development that you may be familiar with that Dr. Graves created back in the 60s when it looked like the world was coming apart. He actually saw a pattern in humanity as a whole. And he saw
Dude, where are we going with this one? This is not... This... Okay. All right, yeah, the spiritual pattern of humanity. Yeah, definitely not anything to do with just immense amounts of spinal pain and hating the people responsible for making it difficult to get treatment.
pattern in our evolution of our spiritual development, not religious development, but spiritual development. And he saw it as an evolution of caring. Like we all start out caring about ourselves. You say as a baby loving, as long as you give them what they want, otherwise they scream, right? So there's these stages and they develop colors. I learned.
Man, I love how he just compared a man feeling righteous anger at a system that is denying him healthcare to a baby screaming for food.
This from Nelson Mandela. It was one of the things they used to turn South Africa around so they wouldn't look at someone and go, they're a white person. No, are they red? Are they blue? Are they at these color combinations? Because there were technical words for them. But I'll just give you an example. Survival is beige. It's like your stimulus.
What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Response. That's not most humans, right? The first stage of development is purple. Purple is tribal. Tribal is like you look for protection.
Oh, Sarah Shock, the gallbladder, all that gallbladder stuff happened like 8 years ago. I'm fine now, relatively.
From the tribe, there's many gods and they're very intense and you got to make sure you honor them. Think of what a tribal environment is. But there are tribal environments in sports where guys wear the same socks or jockstrap when they're on a run to keep it on going.
For sure.
Right? They're thinking that there's this thing I've got to do to be able to keep this magic, right? The next level is we evolve as we exhaust a level. So above purple is now red, where you're like, I don't want to just be in a position where other people tell me.
Genuinely, what is this color coding adding to your argument?
What to do? I'm the god.
Yes, this is Tony Robbins.
The king. I'm going to make it happen. That's the warlord. That's the rock star that tears up the hotel because he can, and people come pay everybody off, right? That's a 2-year-old, the terrible twos, where it's like, no, I'm in charge. This is how it's going to be. We all develop these stages. Past red, why do we leave red? Well, the warrior eventually finds there might be a bigger warrior, a more intense warrior. They're getting older. And how can I have significance in my life, the thing I want? Well, I need to have significance in the ever after. So we go to blue. Blue is right, wrong, good, bad, religious, or the.
This is, okay, this is like if Jungian psychoanalysis was being provided to you by a guy who drank straight mercury every single day.
Army. The rules are very clear. You do this and this and this, you get a gold star. This and this, you go to heaven. You do this, you go to hell. It's very black and white. And people that live in that consciousness make all decisions like this, and you'll begin to recognize these. People evolve out of blue eventually because they're like, you know, I'm tired of someone else telling me how it is. I don't know the Pope is the one who's going to tell me. I want to test it. You move to orange. That's science. That's business. That's where you say, I'm going to test it and figure out what's right. Orange people say, you know what? It's not a hierarchy, someone else telling me. I'm going to test and find what really works. That's science and business. That's most of middle, business America. There's green. Green is somebody that now says, no, the most important thing is not hierarchy. Like orange, you get hierarchy by performance. That would be like your businesses. Green is, no, we're a circle. It's egalitarian. Everything's equal. We make the decision the same.
Socialism.
We're all together.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's socialism at its extreme, but it can just be people that are socially conscious, right? Who care, but they're loving. Each level of consciousness eventually bumps into its limits.
I have my black belt in not giving a single fuck about what this halfwit is babbling about.
I agree, but I also have you considered one additional thing? First of all, thank you for the $10 dono, Paladin. I very much appreciate it. But have you considered where he's sourcing his claims?
Then there's yellow, where yellow is, I can use all these levels depending upon what I need.
Is one above the other? Because I'm looking at it right now, Tony.
Yes.
The green, orange, it says capitalism, right?
Yes.
Achievement.
Or science. That's correct.
Or science, right.
That's
And then 6 is ecology.
That's right.
It's
being equal,
fair, everything
elegant.
equal, civil,
That's
right. And
And
then
then-
yellow.
Guys, this is literally the Galaxy Brain meme. This is the Galaxy Brain meme from the internet that has just been made even worse somehow.
Oh, go ahead.
Yellow is where you're an integrator, where you think because if I ask you which one of these is most important, green people say green's most important.
Right.
Orange people say green people can't get anything done because they try to make a decision with a circle.
No one says this. Dog, what are you on about? This is genuinely more insane than anything I could have possibly imagined. Are the colors even relevant? No. No, they're not. They're not even layered in ways that would align to a color spectrum.
We're most important. Blue people say, we know the rules, you guys are violating God. So when
Those goddamn blue people.
you understand these distinctions, and I'm doing them very fast right now.
Where's the goal to be, though? Where do you want to be?
Your goal should be able to integrate them all. There's an ultimate level above that, which they call turquoise, which is where you feel everything, every creature, every human. Think of it this way.
You are one with the world spirit. Like in that one scene in Avatar where they fuck a horse.
One thing is for sure, Tony Robbins is working on the brown level.
Oh, One-Eyed Heathen, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for supporting stream.
We evolve from focusing on ourselves to eventually we're ethnocentric. We care about our circle. On the block, you can't just get what you want. Now you got to please the other kids.
When we leap into ethnocentrism, we leap into ethno-states? Dude, what are you talking about?
To get along, right? Or other Christians or other Jews.
This is basically Kierkegaard if he had a crippling addiction to crack rock. Soren Kierkegaard.
Text-to-speech did an excellent job reading that out. Paladin, thank you for the $10 dono. And too true, bestie. Too true. God, I knew that this was gonna be bad. Because how on earth do you do a 12-minute long segment about why on earth did this man who said he killed a healthcare CEO because of how broken our healthcare system is, why on earth did he kill that healthcare CEO? And his answer is, well, what if we imagine a bunch of colors and evolution worked this way, huh? What if we did that? What if we shat our pants? I think that would explain a lot. I'm gonna do it right now. And then he just did it right in the middle of Patrick Bet-David's studio. I'm so glad I came back to this fucking weirdness. This is so bizarre.
Or other Muslims or whatever it is. Then we evolved to no, everyone's our customer and we're going to please everybody, orange. And we evolved to green as we're all equal, right?
Why? What? How are you associating these colors with anything? I'm so confused. This is like if color theory was even. No, this is dumb. This isn't even. There's no comparison. This is just literally smoking crack and coming up with like meaningless associations.
We're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
When someone is at this yellow stage, they go, well, each of these have their place. Sometimes blue is the right thing. If we're in a fire and I'm in a room of 20,000 people.
What if color theory was evil?
Probably going to go red to get people the hell out of the building. If I'm going to go be with...
Is this bait? Are we being trolled? It is absolutely not bait, and we are not being trolled. This is sincerely what far-right conservative influencers think is deep and thought-provoking work.
The friend, I'm going to be green. I'm not going to be orange negotiating. You do this, I'll do that. That's not a friendship. So
this is cult shit. Unironically, this is like... If give him a few years, he'll have like 500 people in a compound drinking, Flavor Aid or whatever.
Being able to flex these helps you. And you also understand why people get in conflicts then. Because you got somebody whose whole consciousness is, we're all going to be the same. And someone else is like, without hierarchy, there's no biology. Like
what does that mean, dog? I want you to break that down. I want you to break that down. Without hierarchy, there's no biology. What do you think that means? What do you think those words mean, dog? I want you to break it down and explain to me what your thought process is. Because I know you're wrong. Because those two things aren't related. This does not follow. It's a non sequitur. But I want you to explain to me how you think they're related. If he does a few more lines, he'll think he's a physicist too. True, Brutus Magnuson. Thank you for the $5 super chat. But also, he does think that they're all related. Or he does think he's a physicist. He's associating spectrums of light with different ideologies for some reason. Oh shit, this is that Tony Robbins? It is. It is that Tony Robbins.
What's more important, the atom or the cell?
How does it get dumber every time I press the play button? How is it possible that every sentence that comes out of this guy's mouth somehow becomes more dumb? Honestly, this is top tier spirit science, okay? We've found the successor. I'm so baffled by this.
Tony Robbins is what would happen if Ron Perlman's character from Sons of Anarchy snorted all of the cocaine instead of selling it.
He does got one hell of a chin on him. In a better world, he'd be playing the current Hellboy. Instead of doing whatever the fuck this is. Just gonna place this.
I've never seen someone yap more than this.
Tell me you haven't seen my What If Alt Hist vid without telling me you haven't seen my What If Alt Hist vid. I challenge you. By the way, heads up, this week, we're going to be doing part 2. Okay? Sometime this week, you guys get the people's elbow, all right? We're doing part 2 What If Alt Hist. Is there a part 2 of that? Oh, my sweet summer child. There's a part 2 and a part 3. There's 7 more hours of that. We've only gotten through 2.5. It's fucking 10 hours long. My body is ready. Look, you guys, when we do that, you guys got to support me, okay? I know that does not bring in the dollary dues. So when that happens, you guys need to support me, because honestly, I'm just doing it out of kind of a sick fascination at this point. But anyway, let's continue.
Which one?
Atom or the cell?
Yeah, which one's more important?
Which one is more important? Atom.
It wasn't a rhetorical question? Do you actually want Patrick Bet-David to answer the question? What does that even mean? What do you mean? More important to what? You can't have a cell without atoms.
More the cell. The cell?
The cell or the organ?
The organ.
Oh my god! Is that a crack pipe? Yes.
The organ or the individual?
I'm assuming at this point the individual.
The individual or the community?
Well, now the community.
The community or the planet?
Well, yes, but I'm trying to see where you're going now.
The truth is, you're using your evaluations of them, but the truth is, if you take any chain out of the middle of this, it
They all
all
need
doesn't
each other.
exist.
Guys, did this guy... Okay, I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not trying to be mean. Genuine question. I don't know what Tony Robbins is famous for. Did he suffer a lot of head trauma? Like, was he a former boxer and he just got, like, his brain turned into a pulp? Or was he like a... Damn, Paladin!
Paying
All
my what I
right!
felt this tax in advance. This is some real rot. Rhizome would be proud of this level of neuron destruction.
Wait, which is more important, Paladin? The atom or the neuron? Riddle me this. Thank you for the 25 tier 1 subs. Thank you very, very much. Wait, he's famous. The only thing he's famous for is being a motivational speaker? How? He's a motivational speaker and in the laws of attraction movement. Wait, did he write like The Secret or something? Okay, I'm gonna Google Tony Robbins. Who is this guy? Okay, he wrote Unlimited Power and Awaken the Giant Within. Okay, so he started working with Oprah at one point, of course. Career. Robbins began promoting seminars for motivational speaker and author Jim Rohn when he was 17 years old. He subsequently learned to firewalk and incorporated it into his seminars. So basically, his only thing here was to give motivational talk. That's his entire thing. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, his entire thing is just delivering nonsense with confidence to try and make other people feel confident. That explains so much about why he's genuinely bonkers. He's like, none of this makes any sense. Okay. Maybe he played football in high school. Let's early life. Okay. Now, during high school, he grew 10 inches in 1 year, a growth spurt later attributed to a pituitary tumor. Maybe had some other effects. Just throwing it out there.
It's all dependent upon each other.
How different is this than power versus force? You know the power versus
Yes, I know
force.
power.
His voice is that way because he was built like a brick shithouse back in the day. He looks like he still is. He looks huge.
Is it similar to that, or
It's a little different. It's a little different.
that's a little different?
Yeah.
So,
But here's where this is useful. If I'm talking with you
Yeah.
and you keep going, this is right or wrong. I was just doing this seminar the other day, and this person's like, this is right, that's wrong, this is how it is, and all this tension. I can see they're
He
in.
looks like if Legal Eagle got like fused with the Chad meme. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys see what I? Do you guys see what I mean? Do I got an image here that would make sense? Yeah, here we go. This is just Legal Eagle if he also was like 6'8". I can do a phone call someday about this entire movement because it directly leads to spirit science and what if alt hist. I would that'd be fascinating, Amber Brains. We'll figure out a time. Oh, Mooncat does great work. I'll have to check that out too, Spectral Wolves.
In blue. If they've ever been to a higher level, maybe I can get them there. But I'm not going to get them there by saying,
Oh my
kumbaya,
God.
let's all be.
Oh my God, what the fuck is this? Guys, if you know someone who's like falling for this, y'all need to do everything you can to keep them out of this. All right.
Green, they're not going to respond to it. They know what's right
Yeah,
and what's wrong.
that's a good point.
When you know where people are, that's when you're able to start.
This genuinely feels like it's half a step away from being oh God, what's it called in Scientology where they like read your Thetan levels? That's what this feels like.
Listen, what makes you a leader? The ability to influence the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the actions
Sure.
of another person, ideally with integrity if you're going to be a positive leader, right? You can only do that if you understand to influence somebody, you got to know what already.
The self-help movement is a pipeline into woo and conservative classist victim blaming and goo stuff. I am playing you extra to get someone on warning about this stuff.
Yeah, no, like I gotta be honest with you guys. I've heard for a while like about some of this stuff like The Secret and just like it is a bit disturbing to me how widespread it is. Like this idea that if you just, visualize something and want it enough, the universe will give it to you. Like these kinds of ideas, I think open up like a kind of a dangerous world because that it mixes with a lot of like pseudo-science ideas into kind of like this idea that like the universe is made of like quintessence and like you can influence it by projecting your emotions out into the void, like stuff like that. Like no, there is something to be said about the power of like thinking positively and like keeping an optimistic attitude and like saying yes to different opportunities. But that's not new age hippy dippy nonsense. That's not like the crystals have opened my chakra auras. It's not beware the clown chakra. It's none of that stuff. It is just having a positive attitude can actually physiologically impact your body. Or like in a similar way, if you're feeling stressed and anxious, people people may tell you to go like take a walk or go for a run or something, because it will like cleanse your inner eye or something like that. But like, it's not cleansing anything. All it's doing is activating a different part of your brain that enables the rest of your brain to deal with the stress. Like that's a physiological response. Yeah, decalcify the pineal gland. Oh god. Oh god. Also, One-Eyed Heathen, thank you for the $20 dono. I certainly appreciate it.
Influences them. And so I'm studying all the things that influence them, what they value, what they need, what their fears are, what their strengths are, so that I can help them continue to grow in what they want for their life, not what I think they should have for their life.
It's so interesting you're saying this, because to me, going back to Luigi Mangione, right? If you go back to that chart of power versus force, to me, this was life-changing the first time I read this, because...
Oh my God. I knew Patrick Bet-David was a moron. I didn't know how big of a moron he was until this moment.
When I looked at this, I thought about people in my life, right? Shame at the lowest level, guilt, apathy, grief. You're like, oh my God, these are all bad qualities for you. And you're living in the face of force and fear, desire, anger. By the way, you probably, I think you recommended this, or Oprah talked about this on her show, but I don't know who it was. But anyways, I got my hands on this.
It's a great book. But what I want to tell you with him, for example, is to think about this.
How do you prevent the future, the next one?
But here's what I want you to understand. He grew up in an orange environment.
Can you go back to that?
Orange is, father was achievement, grandfather sent a millionaire, sent to, he didn't have to earn it. Achievement, yeah. He didn't have to do any of it. He never went through the stages of blue and orange. He got to go straight to green, which is everything's equal. This is unfair.
That's right.
And by the way, green, when it's not, imagine this, you can go to purple and feel everything,
right?
But you won't stay there unless you have a foundation. It's a momentary state.
I got it.
So here's where he is. He never built the orange. He took it for granted. So he goes to green. And by the way, he never really got over his red.
But there's a lot of those guys right now, Tony.
Well, think of it this way. If you thought about Vietnam, there were a lot of people that were saying, I'm not going to...
I love how they're basically talking about Luigi Mangione as if he did like some kind of video game level skip and went from like level 2 to level 6 without going through level, the red level first. You didn't go through the desert level. You got the magic flute and you got the warp whistle. Like what are you talking about?
Overseas. Right. But the ones that shot people, burned down buildings, they were red pretending they were green.
Dog. His expression right now is just desperate for Paul. I was about to say Paul Joseph Watson. Patrick Bet-David to take him seriously.
Because green is socially acceptable. This kid, there are a lot of people in green that are celebrating this kid killing people.
That's right.
They're red. Their psychology is red. They're pretending they're egalitarian, but they really are. I want what I want the way I want it.
Wow, so true, King. So true. That makes zero sense. That does not explain anything about anything. Honestly, I'm actually kind of impressed that Tony Robbins can spin this much bullshit in a way that awes Patrick Bet-David. That is, it is certainly a talent. It conveys nothing of value to the world, but it is a talent, kind of like I don't know, being able to make a clover shape with your tongue, I guess.
Wow.
But it's socially acceptable. It's the same way that people do virtue
and
signaling.
Red is the warlord? Is that what it is? The gang culture?
Or a 2-year-old, same thing.
That's
Or
right.
or a rock star, right? Somebody that's like, it's my way or the highway. I get what I want, whether it serves you or not. So those red people say, oh, you know, he you know,
it is 2025 now. I should probably inform you that you shouldn't be talking about red people or yellow people or black people the way that you're just kind of casually throwing it around. It's not couth.
the company turned down, yeah, the company may have done some terrible things. I don't know the absolute numbers. I don't know all the details. I don't think anybody really does. But then you address that in a different way.
Sure, the company may have been evil to a degree no one ever would believe possible, but, you know, you've got to address that in a different way, man. Anyway, we need to pump $10 trillion more into the Pentagon to murder people overseas.
Hey, that's what a court system's for. That's what legislation's for. That's what options.
Yeah, all things very famously that have held the healthcare system accountable and made it function better. Mm-hmm.
Or for of those natures. But this person actually just cold-blooded murder guy who has children and kids, and he's being celebrated by people. And by the way, the guy that actually was trying to save people's lives on the subway was treated like he was a criminal.
Because he murdered a guy. Like, isn't this really interesting, right? Like, this guy's like, well, this guy was trying to save lives on the subway by killing a guy, so, you know, people were really mean to him, though. But Luigi Mangione, he killed a guy, and that was just cold-blooded murder, and he's a disgusting, you know, deplorable individual for doing that. I mean, that guy had family, that guy had kids. And that guy was also in charge of a system that was that kills tens of thousands of Americans every year. So, like, that actively happens. You know, if we're gonna compare the potential harms here, might be good to start out with that one.
That's how crazy our society's become. But I think it's balancing out. It sure feels like it.
Nowadays,
Also, the guy on the subway, you know, Jordan Neely wasn't threatening to kill anybody. Or at least hadn't taken any action to kill anybody. And wasn't about to after he had been held to the ground for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. He was held down for so many more minutes than that.
more than ever, the brand you wear reflects.
Oh, okay, thank God we're done. Thank fuck. Holy moly. That went places I never would have expected, and honestly, I have no words. Patrick Bet-David and his crew are honestly, I gave them too much credit. I didn't think they were smart before, but like, I didn't think they were this dumb. I didn't think they were this like big of saps, you know? That was genuinely insane, and Patrick Bet-David nodded along and offered to give him a hand job under the table. That was bizarre. Honestly, it makes a lot more sense, One-Eyed Heathen, when you take into account that a lot of this guy's primary audience is probably MAGA and QAnon. You know, that makes it make a lot more sense, because QAnon folks are just completely, you know, they're completely gone. They're the kinds of people who think like the lizard people are taking over. I still vividly remember like a news story from like 2020 where like a QAnoner like took his kids and wife to like Mexico and then like killed all of them because he thought like the lizard people were taking over now that Donald Trump had lost. It was genuinely, that's how far QAnon folks are gone. Like they do like murder suicides. And it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, One-Eyed Heathen, your mom is one of the people who thinks that shape-shifting reptilians run the world. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, prime audience for this stuff. I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, I'm not explaining it to you. I'm explaining it to everyone else. I'm sure you have a very deep knowledge of this, unfortunately. But I thought they were populist. Yeah, according to Cenk, maybe Cenk Uygur needs to get on Valuetainment and learn about Tony Robbins' color, the color theory of evil, or whatever he calls that. That was insane. I don't even have a way to wrap up this segment. It's just that was very crazy. The color theory of value. I like it, Foxbat. I like it a lot.